Yes.
Sorry. So how do I know what keywords should I use for my business? Like, how does that? There's so many.
Well, I'll get more into that in the traffic generation. So there's two ways to know. There's the initial research phase where you have to put yourself in the position of your audience. So say for example, you're a large financial services company that does outsourced payroll services, and you do the keyword research on the term payroll. You're going to come up with 800 to 1,000 different variants of the term payroll. But not every single one of those relates to your services. Some people are looking for defining payroll. Some people are looking for do-it-yourself payroll software. So intuitively, you should know, as you're doing your keyword research, your audience, what are they looking for when they're looking for you? But second to that, once we get into paid search strategy, I'll show you how to differentiate based on data what is good, what is not. Next is competitive analysis, seeing, you know who your competitors are, most companies do, but you might not realize who your competitors are online. It's usually vastly different. I mean, for example, when we looked at Grant Thornton, they know who the big financial services companies are, but when you search for those keywords, we found these little, tax accountants in the GTA ranking for those terms. All of a sudden, your competitors, who you're competing with online, it's a completely different landscape. So you need to know who they are, what they're doing, what it's going to require to oust them from that position that you deserve. Your web analytics. Mining your web analytics is for such rich data to see what people are already doing on your site, where they're coming from, what they're looking for, if they're not even finding you for what they should be finding you for. My intuition tells me, and my experience tells me, that most people here, if you're not doing active search marketing, if you look at your web analytics and look at your search data, the vast majority of people coming to your site are looking for your company name. They're looking for you. They already know who you are. What that tells you is you've got this big piece of pie out there of people who don't know who you are, but are just looking for your services. So that analytics data can give you an idea of the opportunity and what needs to be improved. And I'll get further into how to improve later when we talk about conversion optimization. These three are very advanced in terms of research: eye tracking, click tracking, conversion analysis. Now you're talking about identifying key landing pages in your conversion funnel in your site and pulling out of that where people are looking, where people are clicking or are not clicking, that you want them to be clicking, where you're losing them in the funnel. If you know that your contact page or your buy now page is where you want them to be, and it's this many steps down, you can mine that data to find where you're losing them and how to try and keep them in that funnel. So that's research. That's step number one in the holistic online strategy. Any questions on research? Go ahead.
We were talking earlier that everything is dynamic, right? And things change.
Yes.
So I know that even before we do, or as part of the strategy, we should do research. But how often should we refresh research? What would be a significant period of time to just refresh and make sure that we're up to date? It's
based on the volume of data. So it's also based on the subject or the pursuit. So if it's search engine optimization, which takes you months and months and months to even rank for something, you're not going to be changing your targets every month because you're just spinning your wheels. But pay-per-click, paid search, which I'll explain, you could be getting volumes of data, volumes of visitors on a weekly, if not daily basis. So you have very quick insights into what's working and what's not. So it depends on the amount of data and it depends on the pursuit. Anything else? Okay. Step number 2, design and usability. So why this might seem obvious is that everyone goes, yes, we need a good website. Why it's not so obvious is that most marketing professionals trust the designer to determine what is a good site, what is a good design. They do design, I don't do design. But the point again is the very same as what I said before. It should not be based on what you think your audience needs. It should not be based on what a designer thinks your audience needs. It should be based on what your audience needs and wants. For example, their age and gender, very obviously, is going to determine what sort of interface you present to them. What is their platform of choice? So I keep mentioning mobile, but many of us have the tendency to say, I know people do use smartphones, it will get there, but I don't think it's there yet. Recent, and I mean like a week or two ago, Google released a blog post with their data, and clearly they have a lot of data. 44% of the searches done on their platform are done from a mobile device. That's almost 1 in 2 people. 79% of the websites that they have in their index do not have a mobile interface. What does that mean? When someone comes to your phone and it's not an optimized mobile experience, it means you're going to lose them. They're not going to, if they have to pinch and move in and try and read that word and try and click the contact, it's not going to work. So that's the point. You have to design and have to make it usable for how they want to interact with you. You can't force them to change. What is their intent? Are they there to find more information? Are they there to compare you to 5 other vendors of the very same product or service? Are they there to buy? Or are they there just to contact you? You have to define that intent prior to even mapping out how your site will be designed. What are the traffic sources? Are you getting people from search engines, from large syndicates, from social media platforms? We'll define what you need to include on your site in terms of how you're going to engage them. And then of course, instead of then putting out a concept and going forward and building your content and launching, you've got to test your landing pages. You have the ability to use real live focus groups. There are platforms online that you can tap into to have hundreds of people think of really like a focus group. Like, I'm going to put a design in front of all you people right now, and I'm going to get your instant feedback. Where are you looking? Where are you clicking? What do you remember? What do you think this was about? Do you like it? And that way, before you launch and say, man, I really hope this works, you know if it's going to work or not. So there's no longer an excuse to sort of shoot and pray and hope it works, because you don't need to. You can have that data prior to even launching your site. So design usability is step number 2 in a holistic online strategy. Any questions about this?
Well, actually, I do. That's right.
Yes.
Back at the beginning when you were showing some of the websites, and I notice this a lot when I'm on the web, everybody is using that top 1/3 space for a big picture.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that is like your prime real estate.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're just putting some picture up there, sometimes it represents their business, which would be good, but other times it's not. It's just some sort of a lifestyle picture.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, why are people doing that? I don't get it.
Sometimes a lot of that is based on what works. So if you look at heat maps from, there's lots of companies that do sort of the eye tracking testing.
Yeah.
They find that most people do, they look up here, they look over there, look back, and then down. It's just the natural path their eyes follow. So they say, well, we have to have our most important piece of relevance right there.
Right.
Did they get it right? Well, what are they trying to convey? I mean, ultimately what you need to do is nurture that visitor. What are you trying to nurture them for? Are you trying to say, we are the company of choice, or here's what you need to do next? Or, usually the most important thing you need to do is, here's why you can lower your anxiety. You know, you're looking for something, you don't know who to contact. Let's take, for example, insurance. You're looking for home insurance. You have so many, obviously, fears as either a husband, a wife, a father, mother, and so you're looking for a good home insurance provider, and you're worried about cost, and you're worried about what kind of company. When you land on the site, the first thing that needs to establish is trust, relevance, and lower your anxiety, because it means then you'll stay on the site. But then, of course, moving that into a contact, you've got to go even further. So what you're going to place in the most important places, it really does matter. But what that's going to be, again, it's no one's opinion. It comes down to testing. Anything else? Has anyone ever done this? I just want to ask, has anyone ever used a focus group or an online testing platform prior to launching their new design to see if it works or not?
Just a little test on Facebook with friends.
That's